Where's my cutter? What I got in here? Got one hand in my pocket. Well, okay, we got a cigar here given to us by our dear friend Chewy. Chewy, hope you're doing good, brother. So I decided between, the 6 core line, I was like, was I going to do all one side, the 3 versions of the Garrison and the 3 versions of the Field. That made less sense what made more sense was comparing the 50 to the 50, because if you're not aware of Warfighter tobacco, they, on their core line, they have 3 calibers on the Field line, which the Field line is, the way allegedly it's set up, is more about flavor than strength, because if you have cigars for the Field, you're not looking for crazy strong cigars, and then the Garrison's more, maybe a little more refined, but still more stronger, more of a nicotine punch, because now you can relax, you're in the safety of Garrison, so you can have a stronger cigar. So, that's what it says here. It says the Field, which the Field line is a little cheaper, I think, on their websites. It says, like your duty uniform, these cigars are comfortable even when you're not. And then on the Garrison, it says, like your dress uniform, so a little more classy, right? Dress uniform. These cigars prove you're still dangerous. So, and I found that 50 cal Oscuro we did was rather strong. So now I'm doing the 50 cal Maduro, though. So I'm going to go caliber by caliber, and I'm going to do the Garrison and then the Field. So I really enjoyed that 50 cal Oscuro Maduro, which is a Honduran cigar with Nicaraguan filler, Honduran wrapper and binder. It's more Honduran than whatever. This is the 50 cal Maduro. This is Nicaraguan wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler, and Colombian filler. So we'll see what happens. And it's in that large double Corona / what I would call Churchill. The feel on it is kind of a full pack, but it feels light for its size. And the Garrison, I didn't see this, but on the Field model, there is a little few spots where I can feel little soft spots, or a little dense. And there was one kind of, at least they put on the back, so whoever's rolling the cigars, and then with the band on it, makes sense for presentation. But there is, like almost like a knot in the, if you could see that, like an ugly spot right there in the wrapper. Now, whatever, so we're gonna smoke this. Their classic band there. It's mostly Nicaraguans and just a little bit of Colombian in that filler. So we're gonna see. And one, I like to also go by what the company says. And I'm not saying I'm gonna believe it or not believe it, but I like to see what a company says. So they're saying the Field line is more a comfortable type blends compared to the Garrison. So I'm gonna compare the 50 Field now to the Garrison. So I expect this one to be less strong than the 50 cal Garrison, and we'll find out if it is or not. It's all like how do you say, like detective work. It's enjoyable. It's research, and it's not to call people out or say who's wrong, who's right. It's much more just putting out the content. And if someone has a different experience or similar or same, maybe and then together we all whatever. So now I think this cigar might have some time on it too. I have to look at the cellophane, but it might not have the same. It's a different blend, so I don't know when this box was made. From what he was saying, though, the owner, that this size, though, that they might be, I think they might be, or they are discontinuing this size. The Robusto and Toro were more popular, and it's funny when it comes to cigars. It's not like in every cigars the same size is always as popular. You can go one brand and this size in your area is popular, or in this wrapper. Like I remember when I was in Colorado, and most of the shops I went to, the Padron Naturals were more popular. I was like, the Naturals? I was like, the Maduros are better. And people like the more Naturals more over here. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. So people smoke what they want, and it changes. So, some natural sweetness off the bat. That's off to a good start. Well, off the bat, it is not as dark as the 50 cal Oscuro. That's also off the bat. Off the bat, kind of oily. Definitely not as dark or as strong off the bat. More of a medium. We'll let this build up. The cellophane on this is not as I'm not even sure if it really has any more yellowing, so maybe, but the other one had a darker wrapper. Honestly, I think it's easier for darker, heavier cigars to yellow the wrapper. Some mild spices kicking off. I got some nice watermelon. Stop eating chips, cookies. Has some fresh fruit. I can't stress that enough. Now remember, when you smoke a cigar, the longer you go, the more the backstory of the leaf you're going to get. So in this 7-inch cigar, this 6-inch would start off stronger, and I can't stress that enough. The 5-inch would start off stronger than the 6-inch. Right? I just can't stress enough. But it depends how you look at it. Like a time machine, you want to get more of the weaker part of the leaf. I can't stress that enough. Not only that, when you start off with 7 inches versus 5, your smoke has to travel 7 inches in the beginning to get to you, and it's going to be lost because it has to travel through the filler, and that filler absorbs some of it, not all the smoke. But the longer distance, just like anything to travel, is going to be lost. You could moving your car from 1 mile versus 5 miles is lost. What do you mean? Well, you lost gasoline. You lost more gas. More distance, you lost something, more gas. You also lost more time the further distance. You also have more wear on your car. I mean, I realize it, but your brakes, your tires, you put more, you lost. The longer you got to do something, the more lost there'll be. If you're in a bad long-term relationship, there's a lot of loss. I can't stress that enough. Okay, picking up right there, medium plus, right there. I like that a lot better. So the first quarter of an inch, I start off more gentle, and every cigar has different points where eventually starts opening up, starts picking up. I find this one very buttery. This is compared to the other 50 cal. This is much more chill. Really is. So I like that. As far as they say, the fill line is more chilled than the Garrison. The Garrison's more, you'd say, not always the word exciting, but more stronger. So but depending on interpretation. But that might be too strong for some people. But so if you would choose, the bottom line is I'm comparing the two 50s. Bottom line is, if you're looking for a stronger, darker cigar, go for the Garrison 50. This 50, we'll see how it continues, but this 50 off the bat is totally different. It feels really more like a 65% darkness. It's not as dark at all as the other cigar. Almost feels more like a sun-grown, or it doesn't feel like at all like a very dark Maduro. Now, whether it's listed as Maduro, it doesn't have that kind of vibe. Finish is medium. It's not super long or super heavy, but we're early into the cigar. There's a really nice coffee note to this. There's a little bit of buttery texture to it. A little bit of black pepper spice that lingers on the back. And that's what's going on right now. We're going to go and come back. But all in all, the bottom line is the beginning of this cigar compared to the 50. The 50s were stronger, darker, more robust, and heavier. And it did pick up, and from there. But I'm saying, but head to head, if you want to relax, get the Field 50, and If you want to have more of a party with stronger cigar, then go for the Garrison 50. And even though that's what they listed, as me as a reviewer and you as every time you buy a cigar, you're reviewing it, whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not. And so I like that what they're saying is also what is true. Because companies could say this and that, and but as customers, you always could say trust but verify. So in this case, we verified that, yeah, the 50 cal Garrison, which is listed as more, a stronger type cigar, was stronger than the 50 cal Field. What's interesting though, it's not like the 50 cals are the same blends, and just the Field is more of a lower priming, and then the Garrison's a higher priming, so you get the same kind of vibe, but just at a different strength point. They're totally different cigars, so I don't know the connection between the two and how they decided, but the bottom line is that's, what they have, the way they set it up. I'd have to ask him more of that. I didn't get to ask him that. Like, what's the connection between each caliber across the Garrison and Field? Because once you go to the 7.62, no, well, I'm talking about the 5.56. That's where a really extreme spread. On the Garrison, you had the 5.56's Corojo, all Nicaraguan and Honduran in the filler, and then on the 5.56 Field, it's a Connecticut shade. It's a Honduran, Connecticut with Nicaraguan fillers and Colombian. So this might be very simple as far as comparing the calibers to each other with their, Field and Garrison line. At this point, the Field is definitely more chill. This is a nice chill cigar. I don't have bad to say about it. I mean, their advertising has more chill, so what's there not to like? If you're going to smoke the 50, if you want to relax, go for the Field. You want a more of a party, something stronger, darker, and powerful, robust, go for the Garrison. I'll come back. Well, we're deep into the cigar, about to get into the last third. I only had one touch up so far. I did leave this out to the cellophane and out of the humidor for a day. Maybe it was a little wet, I don't know. But all in all, I had a good time. It's definitely like they said, so at least it's correct advertising. Now we'll see how the other Field lines are. But the Field 50 is definitely more of a chill cigar than the Garrison 50. So this was real simple, really. This was not as dark, 65% darkness, even though I think this was listed as some type of Maduro, but it doesn't feel that dark. I mean, it's not a Connecticut shade, but the overall presence is not. Getting toward the last third, it's hanging out between like a heavy medium plus, barely a gentle medium full, so somewhere between those two. It did pick up from the beginning, maybe a few inches in. Remember, this is a longer size, it's 7 inches. So if you had a Robusto version of this, it would get to it sooner. It's like creamy texture. The finish is like a medium overall. It's not a super heavy long finish, or not a super long or heavy finish. So did I say that right? But it has a creamy texture to it, slightly nutty. It was enjoyable, but between the two, not just because of the strength, I enjoyed the flavor better on the 50 Garrison. And I think that was the way in the past too. In the past, I remember smoking the 50 Garrison the most out of all of them. So this cigar is going to get a 4.4 out of 5. It was enjoyable. I could recommend it, but the Garrison 50 is, in my opinion, is the better cigar if we're comparing just the two 50s. That's why I'm going to keep it to it. In the core of it, it has a little bit of black pepper spice. It's not an overly spicy cigar, and it's not, listed under the field line. It's more of a chill cigar. So overall, it feels more like a medium plus, give or take. You know what I'm saying, though? I did enjoy it, but and I guess if you want to just relax, then that might be your cup of tea. Now that's for what I prefer. That's a preference. For my preference, I prefer cigars at least around medium full to full strength. So I digress with that. So can you enjoy it? Well, if you're looking for something more chill, I mean, without being, it's not a mild cigar by any means, but if you're looking for something more relaxing within medium plus, then sure, then the 50 Field cigar could be your cup of tea. I think this would go good with a cup of coffee in the morning. It's pretty nice, relaxing type of vibe. It doesn't get in the way. It backs the moment. It's not the moment. Where the 50 Garrison was more robust and dark and powerful and spicier. That's what I prefer. So if you prefer something more chill, without being like, a mild to medium like shade grown type of cigar. If you want something a little darker, it's on 65% darkness, but you want to relax, then get the 50 Field. I'm sorry, in this lineup. So, but even outside of preference, the 50 Garrison is the better blend. I mean, if we're just forgetting about we're talking about strength, just talking about just flavor, because you have flavor and strength. You know what I'm saying, though. So the flavor on the 50 Garrison was superior to the 50 Field. That is my recommendation on that. But as far as if you're just going to base it on strength, if you want a weaker cigar, get the Field 50. If you want the stronger one, then get the Garrison 50. But if you ask me head to head, which is just a better cigar, forgetting about the strength, it'd be the 50 Garrison. But nothing wrong with this cigar. That's the recommendation on how it hits you and what the I don't want to use pros and cons, but what is it doing? If you want something more to relax with, it has a nice buttery, creamy texture to it. Although I didn't get as much flavor out of it as the 50. Even if the 50 wasn't as strong, the 50 still had more flavor. So that's I would take the 50 Garrison over the 50 Field. On a heads up, absolutely. But if you just say, hey, I want a relaxing cigar, then if that's what you care about, then sure. And more for maybe newbies or something like that, Now, perhaps if you say, well, I want a cigar that while I'm driving, or a cigar while I'm doing something, you're working on your car, or you're playing poker, like, yeah, maybe then this is the kind of cigars, because you have something to smoke, but you don't want something that's, punching in the balls, and that's really very strong, because you want to pay attention. If you want something to pay, and want to pay attention to something else, that's when you get something like this. But if you want nothing to pay attention to, and you want that cigar to take you away, to Flavor Town and Strength Town, then you get the 50 Garrison. I think next we're gonna do the 7.62s, 7.62 Garrison, and then the 7.62 Field. So the heads up, the 50 cal Garrison beats the Field, but if your caveat is, well, I only want I want a weaker cigar, that's I can't handle strong cigars, then get the 50 Field. For everyone else, get the 50 Garrison. That's the better stick between the two 50s, and that's my recommendation. Unless if you just can't handle strong cigars. Well, I hope you're having a good time. You stay fresh. I'll see you around. Either way, there's none of these cigars in prison, and there's no cigars in prison. And lawyers are more expensive than cigars, and cigars are cheaper than lawyers. And I can't stress that enough. Don't drink and drive. Don't do anything stupid. I can't stress that enough. See you around. Stay fresh.